And here we are, we're on the clock now, and you can see the boats, the race birds, starting their run. And the key is to get to that start line just a tick after the time runs out. We are bows out and racing here, and it is underway, and that looked to be a really, really solid start by Drogba, or by Team Brazil. Boy, they got a great nose out front. It's looking really stout right now. Timmy Hansen getting the job done.
Big move up the outside by Team Miami. This is huge. Let's not forget, this is a very, very important semi-final for them. This one and the next one combined, because they need to get into the final to have any hope of winning this championship.
And you can see Anna on that outside line. They were pretty much even all the way up to the turn-in, but then you're on that outside line, and she couldn't turn across until you get to that first turn Smartmark, and it's got her trapped a little bit. She's got work to do here, but nice cut. Ooh, she just clobbered that Smartmark. She was trying to square that up to straighten that run up and get to the boost coming out of there.
So far, Timmy Hansen doing very well in the lead, using all of that free water ahead, lack of current, less lack of weight coming from the other boats, essentially like doing a qualifying lap here where you've got no interruption from the other boats. But not the same cannot be said for the likes of Oban Duncan and Anna Glennon, who are now dealing with the wake of each other's boats right next to them.
All right, now here's Timmy now coming into that very tricky section up into turn 7. Boy, that looked really stout. And look at Anna now, way down to the inside, trying to make the cut on Oban, side by each through that tight turn 7.
Huge move to get that position back from Oban Duncan. Just the sort of performance that we saw from her in Monaco as well, just kind of full send, giving it everything into the corner to hold position.
Yeah, but Oban ran that little more open line and looked like she was able to just carry more speed as opposed to that really tight cut and go that Anna Glennon ran. And it looks like Oban may have been able to ease it away a little bit here.
This looks like a potential problem for Team Miami. This could be a disaster. Really slow running. They've dropped right behind. It seems to pick up the pace again now, but they're 19 seconds off.
That's massive. Yeah, I mean, obviously, look at, she's still struggling.
Red flag.
We have a red flag in the course. And, yeah, not sure what happened, but, you know, she squared up that corner, went to throttle, and it just started to lay down. Let's see if we can spot what may have happened here.
Oh, she hit the marker.
She's carrying it with it. You can see it's hooked now on that.
Oh, that's not ideal
at all. That's unbelievable. That's absolutely wrapped around the foil. And the problem is now, along with just having to stop and having that issue with the red flag, normally collecting one of those like that tends to be a long lap penalty on top of it.
Yeah, I mean, and it's, you know, what's even more interesting about that is that Team Brady, yet to do a semi-final, also have a long lap penalty from an infringement over the course of between qualifying and now. So now the two runners for the championship both potentially could have penalties. We'll wait to see what happens with Team Miami, but yeah, that is not good news for Anna Glennon or Eric Stark.
Yeah, both in jeopardy. That is a really, really good point here. And let's take another look at it here.
She forced out a little bit by Duncan, having to take the slightest.
No, she cuts here. And just square. She wanted to square it. She had a bunch of spray in her face.
Yeah, I think that's the case. Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, that all of that weight being sprayed up, you can see it probably there. Look, you can't see anything at that point.
She knew she wanted to square up, and boom, you just see it suddenly appear there. Because she'd used that, if you remember, over in turn 3 where she squared up and actually got a really good run on Oban there. So she was thinking, I'm going to do the over-under move essentially. And just got that, and now, yeah, she's got to come into the launch zone.
Can she even get into the launch zone with the donut essentially on the foil? Yeah. Hopefully, it's not too much of a problem to get it off.
Looks like we're going to get our restart here. Timmy Hansen heading out.
It'll be interesting to see a head-to-head like this. You know, to have a Racebird v Racebird, Hansen v Duncan.
So as we can see here, it is a staggered start. Remember, Hansen had built up a nice little lead, and so what the officials have done is what that lead was at the end of that first lap, they have given that amount of time to Hansen to lead. Then Oban took off. So now it's down to what Oban can do. Remember, we saw her make up a long lap penalty in one of the earlier events. When she finds that groove, she is wicked quick.
Absolutely, but it's going to be a battle of balance right now. Who's got the best trim setup to enable to sit the foils above the optimum point above the water and keep it as smooth as possible, not kind of the nose cone dipping and going up and down too much, keeping it kind of like what we're seeing right now with Timmy Hansen, pretty level, almost like a straight line over the water.
And there you saw Marcelo Claret, who's the team owner for Team Brazil, and obviously very vested here. One of the, we've talked about the hydrodynamics and the issues that's been causing, but this is our first run of the season on a lake. As Timmy Hansen going for that long lap, this is our first run on a lake. It doesn't have the salinity of the ocean, so the water's not as dense, tougher to keep it up on the foil. Now, in every race, you have to do one long lap, and it's a huge strategy when you do that. Timmy opting to do it here because I think he knows when he comes out of it, he's going to have some pretty smooth water to be able to deal with. And remember that it's still going to be Oban Duncan is going to have to do one as well.
Yeah, let's talk about the points on offer as well from this semi-final.
Excuse me, I was actually Oban that did the long.
Yes, yeah, okay. So talking about the points,
yeah,
what you need to do. There is two halves, essentially a first half and a second half of these semi-finals.
Right.
We've got one pilot going out now, and then again their teammate will go out in a later semi-final. The combined points from position will then go to whether they get into the final or not. So let's explain the points, because it's 6 points, isn't it, for a win? Yep. So that's obviously available twice. And then you get the case of where, unfortunately, Team Miami right now, yep, which is 3 points, yeah, which is the lowest points you can get in a semi-final. But it is it's kind of a two-half event,
exactly.
Really. So yes, you might have a disappointing first semi-final, but if your teammate can then get in the race bird and do a good job, there's always still a chance based on what your competitors said.
Well, and here's the deal: if Team Miami is designated as a DNF, they get 1 point. And a DNF did not finish.
That's a huge difference.
So we'll have to see what happens here in that, but that's a big difference. And we'll see whether they get that assigned or not. And what can happen here is if you have some sort of a penalty, if you're slightly too quick to the start line, they're not just going to stop and restart it. You have to do another long lap. So that long lap is used, one, for just strategic purposes within the race, and also as a means of penalizing mistakes.
So if we look at the deficit or the loss of time during that long lap, just looking at the last two, there was I think it was about 7 or 8 seconds between the 2 lap times. I think it's hard to know if that's exactly right, but once Timmy Hansen uses his long lap, we'll get a good idea of how much time is lost to then factor into the other semi-finals and then the finals later on.
Well, I'll tell you what, Timmy is making good use of that smooth water he has right now. He just said fastest first sector of this race, sub 23 seconds. So he is really on the move here. Oban not too far off, a 23 flat. So their lap times are really close. Best laps and last laps only 2/10 apart. So the two of them are very close. The problem is that 6-second deficit that Timmy had built up before the red flag that they honored him with.
Yeah, interestingly, the lap time's looking about 6 seconds slower than what we saw in qualifying yesterday, despite what looked like, from our point of view at least, calmer waters. So maybe they're learning something about that turn 7, and maybe slower is smoother and smoother is faster.
Well, look at the merge here, and there you can see Timmy and Team Brazil played that to absolute perfection, because there you go, he came out, and when they started that, it was a 15-second deficit. Now it's a 6-second deficit, right back where they were. So your numbers were spot on. And look at Marcelo thrilled, because he understands now that, all right, they were able to maintain that and keep this pace going here. And so Timmy Hansen, what an absolute run. And that was it. They came through, understandably shortened that final just a little bit with just 2 of these race birds, one for energy, one for time. And so in Miami, all right, on the scoring, Miami is noted as oh boy, it's 0 points at this point. So let's take a look here at the results here of this drama-filled first semifinal for semifinal Group 1. Just absolutely amazing and drama-laden.